Hello. Trigger warning for the video. I'm going to be mentioning some emotional harm, blurred boundaries, misuse of influence, trauma, and power imbalance. Please take your time and please pause wherever you need. In this video, I wanted to talk about 7 subtle signs that a helper relationship may be unhealthy. It's easy to trust people who present themselves as supportive, knowledgeable, or safe, especially when you're vulnerable. But authority and care don't cancel risk. Sometimes they quietly increase it, and many people who cross boundaries don't mean harm, but intention doesn't erase impact. Of course, take anything I say here with a pinch of salt. I can only speak from my experience, but I've been in situations where I felt unable to ask others for help because I was worried about hurting the feelings of the person helping me. I slowly absorbed their narrative about me, became dependent, and didn't realise that I was getting more unwell until I left. And I don't believe that the harm was intended, but the impact was quite devastating for me. I felt like such a burden that disappearing felt like the only option. And I've also been on the other side. As a teenager, I tried to support a friend while I was unwell myself, and we cared deeply about each other, but still probably made each other worse. And eventually she created distance. And as painful as that was, it was the right decision, because it can be extremely hard to notice the impact when you know that all you are doing is trying to help. But the impact matters more than the intention. When I talk about red flags here, I'm talking about patterns, especially narratives, that can quietly do more harm than good. Narratives matter because they shape how we interpret our own needs and our right to take up space. A story that positions someone as essential, uniquely understanding, or stoically burdened by your existence can be just as harmful as an overt boundary crossing, even when no rules are being broken. So this is the grounding checklist. 1. Misleading claims and unclear scope. So you might notice that someone uses language that sounds therapeutic, clinical, or diagnostic, like saying trauma healing, or inner child work, or attachment repair, without formal qualification. They imply that they can replace therapy or treat trauma when they can't, or maybe their website, social media, or sessions suggest broader expertise than they actually have, and perhaps their qualifications are vague or overshadowed by marketing language. And why this can feel unsafe is when someone presenting as a professional isn't clear about what they can and cannot do, it can create false trust and encourage you to disclose more than is safe or rely on guidance that exceeds their qualifications. In contrast, what is safe looks more like them clearly stating their role, their training, and their limits from the start. Marketing and language accurately reflect their qualifications, and they may go further into what their qualifications actually mean. You feel informed, safe, and able to make decisions about whether to trust them, and they encourage professional support when the work goes beyond their remit. Next, when helping someone becomes about them, not you. So you might notice that they frame themselves as a martyr, exaggerate your dependence, or subtly encourage you to need them in order to cope. You may feel pressure to validate their role, to reassure them that you're being helped by them specifically, or pretend that you feel helped to protect their feelings. You may feel guilty for having needs, hesitant to seek support elsewhere, or afraid of upsetting them. And their support reinforces your feelings of powerlessness instead of building your capability and autonomy. And it's fairly clear that the reason that this can be and feel unsafe is that support stops being centered on your well-being and becomes something you're expected to provide emotionally in return. Your independence, growth, or even relapse may feel like a threat to their identity as a helper. What safe support should look like is that the focus stays on you, on your experience, your well-being, that you feel empowered by it, capable, and more in control of your recovery and growth, and that you feel free to seek other support without guilt, jealousy, or pressure. 3. When someone uses helper authority in personal relationships. So you may notice that people diagnose, label, or psychologically interpret you without qualifications or professional context. They emphasize their training or insight to position themselves as the expert and you as the subject. And you may start doubting your own instincts or feel that your experience is being boxed into rigid or overcomplicated explanations. Why this can feel unsafe is that using authority language in personal relationships creates an uneven power dynamic. It can shift trust away from your own perspective and place it in their interpretations, making you feel more dependent on their expert view of you. Safe support should look like personal and professional roles staying clearly separate. Support should be offered without diagnosing or defining your identity. You should feel respected as an equal, not analysed or managed, and your autonomy and independent thinking are actively encouraged. 4. Suggesting drugs, substances, or interventions that they aren't qualified to advise on. So you may notice that people will give strong opinions about substances, diets, or medication without qualifications. You may feel pressure to trust them rather than to check for yourself, and they may downplay risks, side effects, or long-term consequences. Why this can feel unsafe is because medications, substances, or interventions carry real risk. Guidance from someone unqualified can give false reassurance and endanger your safety. Safe support looks more like them encouraging you to consult medical professionals, acknowledging their uncertainty and boundaries of their knowledge, and that you feel supported without pressure and safe to make your own decisions. Using personal disclosures to create pressure. Signs of this could be that they share others' private stories casually or use disclosure to elevate themselves. You may feel that your story is being used to make you act or feel guilty. You feel pressured to open up quickly or told that it is important that you share with them. And intimacy may feel rushed and emotionally unsafe. And why this can feel unsafe is because your story should never be used as leverage or influence over you. Safe support should look like them protecting yours and others' privacy and handling disclosures carefully. You feel safe, respected, and able to share at your own pace. Boundaries are maintained, and your trust is not exploited. Next up, we have using fear, urgency, or emotional pressure in advice. So you may notice people using extreme language, like always or never, or a dramatic tone. You may feel that your judgment is being overridden. You may feel rushed or anxious to act before you're ready. And the reasons that this can feel unsafe is because fear-based advice often overrides your instincts and may make you act before you're ready. Whereas safe support should be advice that's collaborative and paced to your comfort, should make you feel calmer, in control, and able to make thoughtful decisions, and helpers should respect your timing and encourage reflection. And now the 7th and last one, presenting personal beliefs as universal truth. You might notice people claiming the right way to do things or dismiss nuance. You feel unsure of your own perspective, or conversations feel one-sided or closed. And this can obviously feel unsafe because treating a personal worldview as absolute can invalidate your own experience and make you doubt your thinking. Safe support should look like acknowledging multiple perspectives and uncertainty, should make you feel confident exploring your own truth, and encourage curiosity and dialogue rather than dictating. There are, of course, many more red flags and helpers. Many people who blur boundaries don't intend harm. They may over-identify as helpers, confuse confidence with competence, or rush to fix discomfort. Understanding this explains harm, but it doesn't mean that it's okay to continue. You deserve safety, clarity, and equal ground. You're allowed to step back, set boundaries, and seek help elsewhere. Safe support feels empowering and clear, never manipulative or diminishing. You do not owe the world your disappearance to justify your existence. Thank you.